Hello, and welcome back to the 80s version of the Twilight Zone, where we'll be watching the Convicts piano and the card. Now, the Convicts piano stars Joe Penny, who was in Jake and the Fat Man, which was a very... I recall there being a funny TV show back in the day. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was funny to watch. And he is a man who is convicted of a crime he didn't commit, and he's in the penitentiary. And he gets hold of this piano, which is magical, and Twilight Zone stuff happens. And this piano is remarkably well tuned for something that's been sitting in a prison for a long many years. Pianos fall out of tune, and they need to be tuned. Not frequently, but at least regularly. But this one just plays. It's fine. He gets caught on his hand, and whenever there's a transition where he's playing and you're supposed to be transported somewhere, there's always two transition shots. So there's one of him playing normally, one of him playing in the new spot with bandage, and then without bandage. So it's a transition device. And it works. The keyboard is of course offset and all this stuff. It's not an exact transition. That's not what it's supposed to be. And he does this 3 times, and it works out quite well. Someone has made a shiv out of a fork. Why not? But then again, a single tooth of a fork would just murder you, because it will penetrate between ribs and stuff and puncture lungs and destroy intestines and stuff. An entire fork would be very difficult to do that with, but a single tooth of a fork, I'll get you. There is a fantastically nice fade out when he's playing the piano and his friend is standing there looking at him, and he just disappears. They've done a good job of that effect. It's really nice. I like it. And then he somehow gets the other guy to play the piano, and he slides off and still the piano is being played, so he gets to stay and that guy gets to go. And I just hope that he remembers to send the piano to the penitentiary, because otherwise he will be creating a massive paradox. Now, then there's the entire butterfly effect of the original guy no longer being part of the timeline. What does he do? Unless he dies that evening and leaves no further traces, that's going to have a ripple effect, and that could also be bad. Also, what is he going to do? He has no social security, he has no money, he has no name. Reputation-wise, he has very few translatable skills, I'd imagine, from 1987 to 1928. There's a lot of stuff that, what would he do? He could technically work on an investment plan for 1939, so that when the war breaks out, he'd have a very solid portfolio of stuff he knows is going to shoot up with the war. But I don't know how well you could adjust to life 50 odd years like that before you. If I was thrown back into the early 70s from here, I'd be very lost. It'd be very hard to do. Anyway, we're moving on to the card, which is about essentially Hell's credit card. And it stars Susan Blakely, who was in Towering Inferno, along with Virginia Kaiser. I guess that's how you pronounce it. It doesn't look like that. Who is in Poltergeist? I'm going to get back to that. William Atherton, who was in Ghostbusters and Die Hard. And Ken Lerner. Now, Ken Lerner, he has 156 names to his credit as an actor. He is prolific. He does a really good job. He was in The Running Man. He's the guy who gets... use my back, convict, and they're supposed to sign their name on his back, and he stabs him with a pen. Anyway, it's about a credit card, and if you default on your payment, you become delinquent, then they're going to take stuff you love. Now, you don't get to see any of the earlier acquisitions, only the late ones, but this is what's known as Ren magic. So Ren is an ancient Egyptian term for your true name. And if that became erased, you would be removed from the world. Now, she's the only one who remembers. Normally it's the magician who remembers, but I'm guessing it's in the contract that she didn't read. And the whole idea of being removed from the world sort of comes in here. It's very nice. There's a photo on the wall that changes. This is very much like a far earlier episode with, what was it called? It's from 1962 or something, I think, with a man who woke up in essentially a new life, and he couldn't remember, well, he could remember his wife and all this stuff, but no one else could. But then there was a photo that proved that it was all, it was a fake of some kind. In this case, the photo does change. The credit card person just drops the word experiential matrix, just like that. And that made me think how TV has changed. I don't think you could just drop the word experiential matrix into a show without some sort of build-up or explanation, because if you don't actually stop to think about it, that makes no sense. And I think there's a lot more hand-holding in a lot of TV fiction now than there was back in the 80s. The house disappears in the end, which is very Poltergeist, going back to the actress here. And then the card lands on the lawn, and that is a perfect landing. I wonder how many times they had to do that for the card to land so perfectly, because it's nice. But that is the end of her and her credit card, and I hope to see you next week for some more Twilight Zone. Take care now.